My name's Ethan, and for 7 years I believed I had the kind of marriage people quietly admired. Not perfect, never perfect, but built on something real. We didn't fight often. We paid bills together. We laughed at stupid TV shows, and every Sunday we made pancakes. It wasn't passionate fireworks, but it felt solid, steady, safe. So when Megan slid a folder across the kitchen table one quiet Tuesday morning, "I didn't expect my world to tilt, Ethan," she said, not meeting my eyes. "I need you to sign this." The folder was thin, crisp, and neatly labeled, Prenuptial Agreement. I laughed, thinking it was some kind of joke. "You mean postnuptial, right?" "We've been married for 7 years, she smiled, tight, rehearsed. "Prenup, postnup, whatever you want to call it. My lawyer said it's just smart protection. For my security." I stared at her, trying to find the warmth that used to live in her eyes. "Security from what?" She hesitated, then sipped her coffee. "From life. You never know what could happen. You could leave me, or something could go wrong with your business. I just want to feel safe." There it was, the first crack in a wall I hadn't realized we'd built together. For years I'd worked construction. Long hours, long winters, scraped hands. I'd built our home myself, every nail, every wall, every coat of paint. When we first moved in, she ran her fingers over the kitchen counter and said, "This house feels like love." And now that same woman wanted me to sign papers separating her from the very love we'd built. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just asked, "Why now?" She looked relieved that I didn't explode. "It's not about us, Ethan. It's just smart. Everyone's doing it. My sister has one. My mom's been telling me for years that I should." Her mom. Of course. The same woman who never liked that I didn't have a college degree, who once called me a decent starter husband. I took the folder, nodded, and said, "I'll think about it." That night, I lay awake beside her, listening to her slow, even breathing, and for the first time I realized how far apart we'd grown, even while lying inches away. The next morning I went to work early. I couldn't focus. Every hammer strike echoed like a question. What did I do wrong? My buddy Mark noticed. "You look like you swallowed a nail, man. What's up?" I told him about the prenup. He winced. "That's rough. But maybe she's just scared. People get weird when money's involved." I nodded, pretending to agree, but deep down I knew it wasn't about money. It was about trust. Or the lack of it. That evening when I came home, Megan was cooking dinner. Chicken, rice, and that honey glaze she knew I loved. She smiled when she saw me like everything was normal. "I made your favorite," she said softly. I wanted to believe that meant something. I wanted to pretend the folder on the counter wasn't sitting there between us like an invisible wall. But after dinner, she said, "Did you look at it?" I did, and? I took a deep breath. "It's cold, Megan. It feels like a contract between strangers." She frowned. "That's not fair. It's just legal protection." "Protection from what? From me?" She looked down. "It's not personal, Ethan. It's just life. I've seen marriages fall apart over stupid things. I want to make sure that if that ever happens, we both walk away clean." I stared at her, the woman who used to cry at weddings, who once said divorce was quitting on your promises. Something in me broke that night, not loud, not violent, just quietly, like a rope snapping in the dark. For 3 days, I didn't mention it again. I went to work, came home, pretended everything was fine. But I could feel the distance stretching wider, like a silent argument we'd both agreed not to have. On Friday evening, she came up behind me as I washed dishes. She wrapped her arms around me, rested her chin on my shoulder, and said, "I love you, Ethan. Please just sign it. For me." Her voice was soft, pleading, almost childlike. I turned around slowly and looked at her face, the same one I'd loved since I was 24, and I said, quietly, "If you need that paper to feel safe with me." "Maybe I've already lost you." She didn't answer. She just stepped back, eyes glossy with something that looked a lot like guilt. That night I signed it. I didn't read the clauses, didn't call a lawyer, didn't ask for a copy. I just signed my name at the bottom and left it on the counter. When she saw it the next morning, she smiled faintly. "Thank you. You don't know what this means to me." But I did. It meant that the woman who once promised me forever was already preparing for goodbye. The days after I signed the papers felt strange. Megan was lighter somehow, smiling more, humming while she cooked, even texting me during work like she used to. You'd think I'd feel relieved. But instead every laugh sounded hollow, like an echo in an empty house. One night, about a month later, I found her sitting on the porch, scrolling through her phone. Her face was lit by that pale blue glow, and for a second she looked almost peaceful. "Hey," I said, sitting beside her, thinking about something. She glanced at me, hesitant. "Just life stuff." "What kind of life stuff?" She bit her lip. "Things change, Ethan. People change. I just want to make sure I'm okay, you know?" I nodded, but my stomach turned. Because what she really meant was, I want to make sure I'm okay without you. I didn't confront her. I didn't ask questions. I'd already signed away the right to. By early autumn, she started staying late at work. She was a marketing consultant, and I'd never been the jealous type. But something about the way she said client dinners didn't sound like truth. It sounded like a line rehearsed too often. One Thursday, she texted that she'd be home late. Around midnight, her car finally pulled into the driveway. I watched from the living room window, lights off. She sat in the car for almost 5 minutes before getting out. Her face was calm, too calm. When she walked in, I just said, "Rough night?" She froze, then sighed. "Ethan, don't start." I wanted to scream. I wanted to demand answers. But instead, I just whispered, "You don't need to protect yourself from me, Megan. You already did that." She said nothing, went upstairs, closed the door. That was the last night we slept under the same roof as husband and wife. A week later, a courier showed up while I was sanding a table in the garage. He handed me an envelope. Inside, divorce papers, no note. No explanation. Just a clean, legal goodbye. I stared at my name on the document and realized how efficient love becomes when lawyers get involved. All those years condensed into clauses and signatures. That night, I called her. She didn't answer. So I texted, "You said the prenup was for your security. I guess you were right." She replied a few minutes later, "I'm sorry, Ethan, it's better this way." Better for who? I didn't reply. I just poured myself a glass of whiskey, sat at the kitchen table, and listened to the quiet. It wasn't the kind of silence that comes after a fight. It was the kind that settles in when something's died and everyone's too polite to mention it. Weeks passed. Papers were processed. Lawyers emailed. Property divided. It all happened so smoothly it almost felt pre-planned. Maybe it was. One afternoon, I drove past our old coffee shop, the one where we met. She was there, sitting by the window with someone I didn't recognize. She laughed. That same light, easy laugh that used to belong to me. For a second, I wanted to walk in, to ask, was it worth it? Did security make you happy? But I didn't. I just kept driving. That night, I found the copy of the prenup she'd left in the drawer. I'd never read it before, so I did. It was all legal jargon until the last page. An attachment she'd added herself. A handwritten note. "This isn't about not trusting you. It's about me trying to feel safe in a world where everything falls apart. Please don't see this as distance. It's fear." I read it twice, then a third time. And I realized something painful but freeing. She hadn't betrayed me. She'd simply stopped believing in us. You can't rebuild a house when one person's already halfway out the door. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. The lawyer shook my hand and said, "You handled this with dignity, Mr. Collins." Dignity. That's what they call silence when your heart's been split neatly down the middle. I sold the house, bought a small cabin near the edge of town, started working independently again. Sometimes on quiet nights I catch myself setting 2 plates at dinner out of habit. Then I put one back. People ask if I'd ever marry again. I tell them I don't know. Not because I don't believe in love, but because I finally understand what it costs when belief isn't shared. Love isn't supposed to be a contract. It's supposed to be a choice you make every single day without needing paperwork to prove it. Megan wanted safety. I wanted trust. We both got exactly what we asked for, just not from each other. Last week I got a letter in the mail. No return address, but I knew the handwriting instantly. "I hope you're doing okay. I think about you sometimes. You were a good man, Ethan, maybe too good. No apology. No explanation. Just those lines." I folded the paper, placed it in a drawer, and went back to fixing a loose window frame. For 7 years, I built a life around someone who feared losing control. Now I'm finally learning how to live without needing to be chosen. Some nights I still wonder if she ever feels the emptiness I do. But then I remember she wanted security. And I gave it to her, just not the kind she expected. Because when I signed those divorce papers, I wasn't giving up on her. I was giving her freedom. And in a way, I guess that's love too.